What's up guys, in this video we're going to be adding animations to our buttons so that whenever you press them and you have enough money, it will go ahead and play the animation for whatever your item is going to be right here. So make sure you stick around to the end for that. How we're going to start is by clicking this stop button, and let's open up our core script inside of our Tycoon here. So now, since this is a lot of code, I'm basically going to be breaking into segments, going over those few segments, and you guys can find the code in the description below or kind of follow along through these segments. And by finding the code in the description, I meant to say the pinned comment. Alright, so kicking off the code right up here at the top, we have this little segment right up here. So now this variable is getting tween service from the game. That's what we're going to be using for our animation. This variable is getting a brand new random instance just like this. And these are two constants that are going to be determining basically the settings for our animation. So this one is the building animation position offset amount, and you can toy around with this number as much as you'd like to. Having different numbers will affect the animation in different ways, so that's kind of fun to mess around with, and it'll do the exact same thing with the animation part delay. So yeah, you can mess around with these, find out which one works for you. I'm just going to keep these at the default values for now. Next, we have this function right here. So basically what this code is doing is it's helping us check if an object has a certain property. An object is like a thing that can have different characteristics basically. The code takes two inputs, the object we want to check, called this instance right here, and then the name of the property we're looking for, called property right here. So first, the code makes sure that the inputs that we're giving it are the right types of things. It wants the instance right here, which is our object, to be an instance, and it's going to want our property, which is this parameter that we put right up here, to be a string or a word. Next, we're creating a variable right here called hasProperty. We're setting that to false. This variable is basically going to be keeping track of whether the object has the property we're looking for or not. So next, this code is trying to get the value of the property from the object. It uses a special function called pcall that protects the code from crashing if there's an error basically. If there's no error, it means the object has the property, so the code goes ahead and changes the hasProperty variable. And then finally, we're going to return that hasProperty so we can use it throughout our other scripts. And that is this first segment completed. So right below our hasProperty function, we've gone ahead and added the next function right here. And this one is called instance list to property dictionary. So now what this code is doing is that it's basically helping us create a special dictionary that we're going to be using a list of objects and a list of properties. Let's break it down a little further here. So first, the code is checking that the inputs we give it are the right types of things once again. That our instances right here are going to be a list of things, which is basically a table, and it's going to do the exact same thing with the property list. So these are the things that we want them to be, just like that. Next, we're going to create an empty dictionary right here that we're just going to call dictionary. A dictionary is basically like a collection of information where each piece of information is connected to a specific key, if that makes sense. Next, the code is going to go through each object in our instances list right here. One by one for each object. It's basically going to create an empty entry in the dictionary called dictionary entry. Then it's basically going to go through each property in the property list for that object. For example, if the object is a car or something and the properties are color and speed, it'll check if the car has those properties. If it doesn't have any of the properties, it'll show an error message telling us which object doesn't have which property. If the object has all the properties, it adds them to the dictionary entry with their corresponding values. So if the car has a color property with a value of red and a speed property with a value of 60, it'll add those to the dictionary entry. After going through all the properties for that object, it's going to go ahead and add the dictionary entry to the main dictionary, if that makes sense. That's a lot of dictionaries going on right now. So it's going to add the dictionary entry to the main dictionary using the object itself as the key. And so this is basically making a dictionary that's going to go ahead and look like this right here. It's going to have these instances right here. It's going to take the different properties and it's going to have all these different values and properties inside of it. So overall, in simpler words, the code creates a special dictionary where it can look up the properties of different objects super easily. It takes a list of objects and a list of properties, and it checks if each object has those properties. Then it creates a dictionary where each object is connected to its properties and their values. Now, this part of the code right here, this function underneath our other function that we just went over, basically helps us find and collect all the objects that are related to a particular object. So once again, first the code is basically checking if the inputs that we give it are the right types of things again. It wants the ancestor right here parameter to be an instance, and it wants the class name right here to be a string or a word. Next, we're going to create an empty list right here called descendants. And here we're going to store all of the related items that we find. Now it's basically going to go through each object that is inside the ancestor object. These objects are called descendants because they're connected to the ancestor in some way. It checks each descendant one by one. For each descendant, the code checks if it belongs to the class specified by the class name. It's like asking, is this descendant of the same type as the class we're looking for? If the answer is yes, the code adds the descendant to the descendants list. After going through all the descendants, it gives us the complete descendants list as the result right here. And the list contains all the objects that are related to the ancestor and belong to the class specified by the class name or any other class that inherits from it. Since that was a lot of words, I'll basically break it down in simpler words here. The code helps us find and collect all the objects that are connected to a specific object. It takes an object and a class name, and it looks for other objects inside the given object that belong to the same class or class that is related to it. Then it gives us a list of all those related objects as the output. Alrighty, so now we've got the big boy right here. This is a absolutely huge function that takes care of our entire animation for our part. So basically what this function is going to do is it's going to help us animate our models or objects or whatever it is that we're animating here with our buttons by making all of the parts inside of it disappear and then bringing them back to their original state. So once again, first the code is going to check if the inputs we give it are the right types of things. It wants the building model right here to be a special type of object called a model, and the tween info to be a special information called tween info, just like that. Now this tween info is basically what we're going to be using to determine the settings and everything that we're going to be using for our tween animation later on. And now what all these error messages are basically that if the inputs are not the expected types, it shows an error message, and that's just basically what it's going to go ahead and do. So now what it's going to go ahead and do, it's basically going to collect up all the parts of the building. These are basically everything that makes up whatever model or part that you have. It's also going to save all of the original properties like the transparency, C-frame, color, size, etc. into another dictionary right here, which is that instant list dictionary that we made earlier. Next, the code is basically going to make all of the parts invisible. So it's going to grab every single part or mesh part or whatever it is inside of our model here. It's going to make it invisible, and it's going to randomly move it to a random location. It sets the transparency of each part to 1 right there, which means it'll basically become completely transparent. And then it'll also change the color of each part to white and sets their size down to 0. Then it randomly moves each part by changing its position and rotation right here. So after that, the code starts bringing the parts back to their original state one at a time. It creates a special tween animation for each part using the original properties. This animation is basically going to tell the part how to change over time to reach its original properties. So basically it's going to loop through each of our parts and it's going to play that tween animation here. And then once that tween is completed, it's basically going to call a function that will make sure that our part is exactly back to how it was before we set it up to a random position and all that stuff. So down here it's basically going to call and play each tween animation for each of our parts, And here's where that building animation part delay comes in, because it's going to wait that small delay in between going to the next part and tweening that. And now finally, it returns the completed event of the last tween animation. This allows the caller of the function to wait for the entire animation to finish by using the animate building in command that we might be using later. So in simpler words, the code helps us make a model or part, whatever it is, look like it disappears and then reappears while looking super cool. It takes the model as an input and saves the original properties of its parts. Then it makes the parts invisible and moves them randomly around everywhere. After that, it brings back each part to its original state using animations, and then the code lets us wait for the animation to finish if we want to. So I know that looks like a lot of code, and it most definitely is, but we are completely done with it now, except for this last little thing that we need to do all the way down here. And that is basically call our animation whenever our button gets bopped. So in our buttons function right here, basically going to find this if statement if it is a button. We're going to go down all the way right down here to this end, I believe. And then here's where we're going to basically say this. We're going to grab our Tycoon. We're going to grab our purchased items folder. And then we're going to say child added. We're going to connect a function. And this is going to take the parameter of add. Next, we're going to call our animate building in function. This is going to take our purchased items, find first child, our v.object.value, which is the thing inside of our button. And then going forward, one parenthesis, we're going to put a comma. We're going to use our tweeninfo.new. Let's make it take about 1 second. Then we're going to do enum.easingstyle.elastic for a nice kind of springy effect to our animation here. Then after this, we go ahead and say enum.easingDirection.out or in or whatever you want to do. Then out here, we just do wait, just like that. So this will basically call our animate building in function whenever a item gets added to our purchased items folder, which is whenever we go ahead and buy a button. Let's go ahead and test this out and make sure it works. But one more thing before we do that is that if we X out the script real quick, we need to click on all of our models inside of our purchased items and add a primary part to them. This is one of those tedious things that is kind of annoying, but it's definitely worth it for our types of animations. So if we click on our dropper, go down to properties and look at the primary part property, we can go ahead and open up our dropper here, click on the primary part and set it to something like spawner. It doesn't really matter what specific part it is, it just needs to have a primary part in order to work. So go ahead and make sure you do this for all of your models. Alrighty, so I've got a primary part selected for each of my models now, and let's go ahead and test the game. So as you can see, I claim my Tycoon, go over here, press the button, and just like that, our Tycoon kind of wobbles and scales right into place, and it looks absolutely amazing. It is completely satisfying. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video just as much as I did, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below. Goodbye.